This is the GoreTV podcast with your hosts Jill Valentine and Sebastian Castellanos. Let's get into the show.
All right, ready for a deep dive? This one goes straight back to childhood, but with a twist.
Oh.
You know that rhyme, step on a crack, break your mother's back?
Of course, who doesn't?
Right. It's like practically the national anthem of playgrounds. But what if I told you it's basically a horror movie waiting to happen?
That's an interesting take, I'll give you that.
Oh, we're going full-on scary movie analysis on a children's rhymey today, folks. All thanks to those, how do I put this? Creatively morbid folks over at GoreTV.
Always a good time.
They actually broke down this rhyme like it's a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Levels, the whole 9 yards. And to guide us through this this bizarrely fascinating analysis, we've got the one and only expert speaker. They're like the Sherlock Holmes of uncovering creepy subtext, except instead of London, it's our childhoods they're investigating.
Glad to be here, though I'm not sure I'd survive a day in Holmes's London, to be honest.
Well, that's fair. But speaking of surviving, GoreTV doesn't think this rhyme is just playground fun. They claim it's practically its own survival horror game. They even compare it to games like Condemned, where it's just a normal street, but you're terrified of every shadow.
Okay, I see where they're going with this.
Yeah, like could a simple rhyme really be that creepy?
You'd be surprised. Think about those games, the ones that really get under your skin. They often use ordinary settings because it makes the fear feel closer to home.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
Like a haunted house, that's one thing, we expect that. But when your own street corner feels menacing, that's when it gets real.
Because it could actually happen.
Exactly. Our brains are wired to fear the familiar turning on us.
And this rhyme, it's like, bam! Suddenly every sidewalk is a minefield.
Right. You're hyper aware of something you never even thought about before. Cracks in the pavement.
It's like, do I risk the curse or do I just, float to work?
And that is the brilliance of this rhyme. It doesn't need monsters or jump scares. It creates this low-stakes fear, almost a superstition.
Because let's be real, no one actually thinks they're going to hurt mom by stepping on a crack, right?
Well, maybe some kids do, but that's not the point. The rhyme exploits our aversion to threats, even if those threats are totally irrational.
So, our brains know it's just a rhyme.
But some deeper part of us is still a little freaked out.
I feel seen, I'm not going to lie.
And it's the same reason horror movies love using normal places as settings. Your suburb, your school. They're supposed to be safe, so when something isn't there, it's extra unsettling.
So it's that contrast that gets us.
Contrast plus our primal instincts saying, danger can be anywhere, dummy. Even in a kid's rhyme, apparently.
All right, so we're not really scared of breaking mom's back, but the rhyme makes us feel uneasy about cracks in general.
You got it. GoreTV calls it transforming the ordinary into something menacing.
Which is exactly what good horror does, right?
Precisely. But here's where GoreTV takes it a step further, and this is where it gets really interesting. They argue that the more you think about this rhyme, the creepier it actually gets.
Hold on, what do you mean? How much creepier can step on a crack get? We've already established it's scarier than it has any right to be.
Well, remember those games we talked about where things start to mess with your perception of reality?
Huh? Are we going full brain in a jar here?
Not quite. But GoreTV says this rhyme can change how you see the world around you, just like those games. I mean, it's like those games where the environment starts messing with your head, You start seeing things, hearing things, and you just know something's off. That's what this rhyme does, in a way.
You're saying it's messing with our heads on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like sentient.
Not sentient, but it plays on our expectations. Like, in Eternal Darkness, the game literally plays tricks on you to make you question what's real.
Oh, right. Like that whole thing where it pretends your console's broken? Genius.
Exactly. And this rhyme, it plants that seed of doubt about cracks, making you hyper aware of them. Suddenly, they're not just cracks anymore.
They're like portals to mom-breaking dimension or something.
Maybe not that dramatic, but you're getting the idea. It's like when you're home alone at night and every house sound is a serial killer, right?
Don't even. I hate that you're right.
Our brains seek patterns. So when we have a vague threat step on a crack, bad things but no details, we fill in the blanks ourselves, usually with the worst possible scenario.
So the rhyme's like a horror director that knows how to set the mood, but leaves all the jump scares up to our imagination.
Nailed it. And they use Rule of Rose as a comparison. Normal objects become scary because the game makes you question their purpose.
It's like the saying, we're more afraid of the dark because we don't know what's in it.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about low-stakes fear with the rhyme? GoreTV argues that as it sticks with you, that fear changes.
It levels up.
In a way. It's not about mom's back anymore, it's the cracks themselves.
So now the whole world is out to get you, not just the cracks.
That's the vibe. And this leads to another point. The emotional weight of this rhyme. It's not just in any back-breaking, right? It's mom's back.
Okay, yeah, that's a low blow. But why is harming a loved one so much scarier in these situations?
Because it plays on our deepest fear. Hurting those we care about. Like in Haunting Ground or Amnesia, the threat is amplified because you're responsible for someone else.
So it's not about us avoiding danger, it's that we have to protect others. The stakes are higher.
Way higher. Suddenly a silly rhyme about cracks. Way more impactful when it's mom on the line. And that brings us to what I think is GoreTV's most unsettling point.
All right, spill the tea. What's this unsettling point? Don't leave us hanging.
Right, so they call it, and I love this, the final step. Super ominous, right?
Oh, we're getting chills.
They're basically saying, even if you don't, immediately break your mom's back by stepping on a crack, that doubt is still there. You can't unhear the rhyme.
It's like that feeling after a scary movie.
Yeah.
You know it's fake, but you still check the closets anyway.
Exactly. The what if never really goes away. Did you doom your mom by stepping on that crack 5 minutes ago? Who knows?
And this is where it gets real for our listeners, I think.
Right.
Think about it. Do you still avoid cracks sometimes? Even now?
See? It's wild, right? These little kid beliefs stick around, even when we're supposed to know better.
It's like those superstitions people have, you know? Like opening umbrellas inside.
Right. We laugh, but do we really want to test it?
So what GoreTV's saying,
Hmm.
this isn't just a rhyme, it's how our brains work. We make sense of things, even when there's no sense to be made.
And sometimes those stories we tell ourselves, those what-ifs, they become more powerful than any actual danger.
So we're all just going to be looking at sidewalks nervously forever, thanks to this rhyme. Is that the takeaway?
Not necessarily. It's about being aware of it. Once you see how these things work, it's less scary.
Okay, so not doom and gloom, but eyes open. Right.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what other stuff from childhood is lurking in our brains, influencing us without us even realizing.
Ooh, now that is a question for another deep dive.
Indeed.
Big thanks to you, expert speaker, for breaking this down. Who knew a children's rhyme could be so creepy and insightful?
Happy to be here.
And to all our listeners, thanks for exploring with us. Remember, sometimes the creepiest stuff is hiding in plain sight. Until next time, stay curious.
This is the GoreTV podcast.